And
go ahead and paste and pin that comment.
okay.
Roxy, you want to search Allison's Instagram and click on the live.
And I hit send, right?
Yep, hit send.
How do I pin?
When you send it, you see it start to scroll. You want to click, hold, and click pin comment. Like actually physically click the comment itself.
Pin comment. Got it. It's pinned. Hi, everybody.
Right.
Yay, Roxy's here.
Awesome. You see Roxy on Instagram?
I see Roxy on Instagram. No, I don't. But I see that she connected.
You see that she connected, but you should see her on the screen with you.
On Instagram?
Yes.
I do not.
Roxy, did you hit request to join? It popped up.
It's a crazy delay.
It is. That's okay.
It says there's two. Hold on, there's something I may not. So it's, accept. Should I accept Roxy's?
Yes.
Okay, I hit that. I don't see her still. Yay.
Hi, Roxy.
Hi.
We
did
it.
We made it happen.
Okay, one final thing, Allison, on the right-hand side, you want to click streaming destinations and then choose enable live shopping.
Okay.
All right, and then do you see it says Instagram is live?
At the bottom, yes, I guess.
Yes, so I want you to click on that.
Okay, it's a little green button. Check.
Yep, and then hit save.
Save. Thanks, Roxy. She's good at what she does.
Awesome.
I just wanted to make sure, so we'll be looking at not at the phone, but at the computer.
Yes, you can acknowledge people watching on Instagram. Hey, Instagram.
Hey, Instagram, we're getting this going. Technical fun.
Allison, one final thing. I want you to click on Google Meets and close the Google Meets tab. Not the whole window, just the tab.
The tab. So hit that X.
Yep, that's the Google Meets with you and me.
Okay. She's gone.
Perfect. Good. Okay, then come back to Talk Shop Live.
Hello.
And you can go ahead and start show on Talk Shop Live. You'll see a live bug pop up at the top, and then you can begin hosting the show.
All right, we are starting this. I think we're live. Hey, guys.
If you're on this,
I'm assuming you are. I am so happy to be joined by Roxy Diaz. Say hi, Roxy.
Hi, guys.
And we are here to talk about what's up with women and money, how to do all the financial stuff you've been avoiding. And so this is your opportunity to get a signed copy today. And how to do that? Well, you click that button below that says get your own autographed copy. You click shop, or you can comment shop in the comment box and you will be sent a link to get your own autographed copy. Roxy, I'm so glad you're with me. I know you have a money story.
What? Many money stories.
Throw one at me.
Crazy money stories. Well, actually, my story begins really with chapter 2, which was where the F is my money going? Because that's my...
You're having issues with where your money's going?
What? Well, yeah, I know where it's going. It's going to Amazon. That's exactly where it's going. Jeff Bezos is capitalizing off of my household right now. That's where it's going. No, but I think you and I had this conversation a week ago where, especially now in this generation, like, you know, I didn't grow up at least in like a rich household, grew up with single parent mom, definitely worked. And when I finally started my career and saw that very first paycheck, I was responsible. I paid off my student loan. So
wow,
proud of myself on that.
Come on, You should give yourself a lot of credit for that. That is huge.
But after that, it all went to hell. After that, I just started doing the most because I was on a big show, got my first big checks. I never really learned what it was to be financially responsible. So it took me more in my career to learn, you know, how to be responsible with money. But I think it's similar to all my fam that's right here on Instagram and at Shop Live right now that's watching. I think that we all have a common story where we first learn about money through our parents or through, you know, whatever is reflected in the home. So if it's not something that's instilled in you when you're young, you kind of go with the flow and you start learning it.
And you're right about that. We do get a lot of our sort of the way we operate about money. We get a lot of that from our parents. Not to say we get everything, but we definitely can blame our parents. And I talk about this in the book a lot. And I talk about if it's kind of deep in our subconscious. It's either good or it's in the middle or it's bad. And if you want to shake the way you've learned how to, if you're not happy with the way you're handling your money and you think back and think, oh my gosh, I got that from my parents, there are ways to kind of shake that and kind of relearn those beliefs and then change the way your habits are with your money. So there is a way, but then it's also, it could be more than just your parents. It could be the culture at large. Women have it much more difficult than men.
Yep.
As far as, you know, how women are perceived to handle money, the stereotypical spenders, and yeah, we do spend, but you know, those stereotypes, they're not all right. Also, we've been led to believe that we're not good at money. And so those sort of stereotypes go on and on. So that kind of sticks in our brain as well. And then there's the confidence aspect to it because of those gender stereotypes and those cultural stereotypes, that could cut away at our confidence in our thinking of how we're able to handle our money. So that's part of it too.
No, I agree with you. And then somebody even said about it, like, I wish they would have taught this financing in elementary school, junior high, or high school. Somebody like me, like numbers are intimidating. I'm, you know, left side brain, right side brain. I'm the side of the brain that's all arts, English, writing, history. Math and numbers, get it away from me. Like you and I were talking about the stock exchange, and I'm like, girl, I don't even know what that stuff is yet. Like, but it's a thing now.
Well, let me stop you right there, just so you know, and hopefully this will give you a little more confidence. Investing, if we're just talking about investing, it's actually 80% psychological, 20% math, and the math is easy. So don't psych yourself out. And actually, women have the psychological part down really well because, I mean, sadly, our lack of confidence and our abilities to, you know, take control of our finances, that actually works in our favor with investing because we are more, you know, we're more careful with our investing. We don't sort of go after the next shiny object. We need the next great trend of what to invest in, and we're not day traders. And so actually there is it is research proven that women do better at investing than men. We earn 0.4% more than men. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot. That's 40 basis points. But over time, once you throw that money into the stock market, that compounds and that could equal tens of thousands of dollars over time. So don't believe that just you think you're not good in math. It's actually a lot of it is just in here. And that's what I try to get to with this book is that we could all learn the financial steps, and all the financial steps are in here, but it's more than that. And I really address that, and I feel really strongly about it because I lived it. Is you have to have we can learn all the steps we want, but if we don't feel confident that we could actually do those steps, we're not going to take those steps. So I'm building confidence through this book to make you believe, because you can do this, make you believe that you can make these financial moves and get control of your financial life.
Well, talk about how it first started for you. Where did you first get that confidence? Because even though you were on television, you were talking about money, behind the scenes was a different story for you. So tell us a little bit about that for the people that don't know your story.
Yeah, I was married in a 12-year marriage, but I stayed in the marriage many years longer than I should have because I allowed my then husband to handle all of our big money decisions. And that's despite me going on TV at the New York Stock Exchange as CNN's financial correspondent, because the reality is it's one thing to talk about, you know, movement in the market and to report on it. It's another to handle it in your own personal life. I mean, my thinking was, well, what if I lose all my money? And I've never done this before. I always let him handle it. So I was overwhelmed. I didn't know, believe it or not, I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to start. And so I relied on him to do everything. So when our marriage started to fail, I stayed in it longer than I should have because I was literally frozen and scared to leave because I was scared I was going to lose all of our money.
Yeah.
And so I looked around then, and I tried to find where I can get that confidence to feel like I could handle all those money decisions, and I didn't see it. And so I wrote the book that I would hope would help other women gain that confidence to take these financial moves.
Who was one of those people in your life that actually helped you get the confidence?
Me.
Good. That's
Because
an amazing answer, by the
well,
way. That's
here's why.
great.
Because there was a lot of embarrassment and shame that I felt. I was embarrassed. I felt like a hypocrite. I was the financial correspondent. How could I have let this happen? I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I didn't talk about it with anybody, and for fear of looking unintelligent.
Mm.
So then I actually started talking with other women, like high achieving women, successful women in really high powered positions. And I realized they were in the same boat as me, not necessarily bad marriage. I'm just saying that they didn't have full visibility over their family's finances. They let their husbands handle all of their money stuff at home. And they said, you know what, Allison, I don't know how to invest either. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's not only me. And so once I started talking with more and more women, I realized this is actually a thing that women aren't talking about at all because we are afraid of being judged by our peers.
So I'm going to go back to the book, which right now, guys, you can shop right now. There's a link for you guys to click on. I highly recommend it, especially for my ladies that are trying to get it together, get your wallets right, get your money right, get your investments right, okay? Learning experience, because it's all about each one teach one right now. So going back to the book, I started with chapter 2, where the F is my money going? In your opinion, where are we really losing out on our money? Where is our money going when it comes to the ladies?
Yeah. I don't want to take all the joy away from spending. And we, we go through our lives and we work and we're like, oh, I want to go get that coffee. And I'm not saying don't have the coffee or don't buy that little thing on Amazon. I'm saying do it, but just don't do it a lot, because this is how much money it adds up to. So let's just say I go to work every day and I buy that $5 Starbucks, and because it makes me feel good before I go to work. I get it. But the problem is that adds up to a couple $100s a month. You can put that into investments, and over time it will compound to make a good amount of money over time. So I'm just saying, don't do it every day. Do it a little bit, cut it in half. Whatever you, I think, especially with inflation where it is, I think there's a lot of, and I'm not looking to begrudge anybody having fun. I don't want to be like the Debbie Downer here, but maybe don't eat all your meals out,
Yeah.
a few days in a row. Maybe try to have breakfast and lunch at home and go out for dinner. If you know you're going out for breakfast, maybe have lunch and dinner at home. Sort of pre-plan, because that money really, in an insidious way, it adds up, and they can be real budget busters.
Yeah.
And that also could be money that you could sock away, especially now you can go onto online platforms and fractionally invest. So let's say you can't afford a full let's say your share is $500 for an index fund for one share, and you only have $100. That's okay. You can put that into the market, and that little bit of money will still compound over time. It will still probably earn a dividend if you're getting on with an index fund that gives you a dividend. And that money is better spent than on that little something at Amazon, or that extra 3 coffees that week.
I have a theory that a lot of us that like to shop, we just didn't get a lot of stuff as kids. Or we were just overly spoiled and we're never satisfied. And it's just that something when you were a kid, you always wanted a piece of mail.
Yeah.
And now, you can always have great mail and great boxes of all this stuff that you do not actually need ever in life. But I think you make an excellent point, and you're jumping into investing a lot. So I'm going to go skip over to chapter 9, where you talk about baby steps that will get you into investing. And you just mentioned fraction investing, which is something you taught me about on our private call. Y'all, the private call was really where the tea was at. That's what she was getting in my butt. And she was like, Roxy, what are you doing? Made me ask questions. And I did, by the way, I did ask about those fees.
You did.
From my broker, my person. I did. I didn't really get a great answer to, but we'll talk about that off air anyway.
Oh,
but
okay.
We'll talk about that. But baby steps into investing. You talked about fraction investing. First of all, investing in a whole and how to approach it. What are some of your suggestions?
Okay, my suggestion is you can, what's great is in this day and age, you can go onto an online platform. And I'm not, I don't work for any of these, but I'll throw some out.
Yeah.
Fidelity, Schwab. You can go to Merrill Lynch, although
Yeah.
Merrill Lynch doesn't have the fractional investing, so I wouldn't go for it. You can go to Betterment. There are all sorts of places. Ellevest is another one, but Betterment I just read is going to be buying out Ellevest as of like a couple of hours ago. I saw that hit the news headlines. But there are all these investment platforms you can go to, and you go on their website and you open up an account. You'll link your checking account, and I go through all this in the book because there's one chapter in here. Literally, I will get you into investing. In I think it's 12 steps. You're there, toe in the water, done, and you'll see it happen. But so I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version. And then you throw your money in. My suggestion is start a Roth IRA because that will keep you from having to pay taxes on it after when you take it out, and it's tax preferred, so it's good. So when you file your taxes, and just start investing there. And going back to the fractional investing, the whole point of fractional investing that I see, I'm not a bazillionaire, I'm not a millionaire.
Yeah.
For those of us who can't afford high priced shares of stocks all at once. Like you don't have to wait to save. Just if you see a stock share is, $400 and you're thinking, gosh, I don't have that $400, I can't buy it. Well, that's not true. if you go to a platform that has fractional investing, you click the drop down box and you can, if you have $100, put the $100 in, it'll buy a little piece of that stock share, and that will get you earning some money. One thing you want to do when you're picking what investments you want to put your money into, you do want to see what kind of fees are attached to that investment. You want to go for something that's somewhere between 0.3%, 0.5%. You don't want to spend a lot of money on those fees. And if you have somebody managing your money for you, that's great. But my advice to you is you still need to stay involved. You can't just say, oh, here's all my money, just do your thing, we'll talk twice a year. No, you need to be involved. You need to know what they're investing in. And usually they're investing through an online platform as well that you can see what's happening. And you should know what your certain, whoever is doing your finances, you need to know what their commissions are, what are their fees, what are their commissions, and they need to be upfront about it. And if they're not upfront, I will tell you that you may want to think about switching to somebody else because they need to be honest with you.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. If you guys see that we're looking here and we're looking here and we're looking here, it's because we're both on Instagram Live and we're also on Talk Shop Live as well. So we're on two different platforms.
Yep.
And to let you know, we do see your comments and we're welcoming all the comments. Please bring them in, bring your question in, because we're going to be asking questions from you guys in the next few minutes towards the end of the conversation. Investing, it seems like the popular thing right now. When Kanye started buying Kim, stock, we're like, oh, what? And now people are talking about investing in land, investing in real estate, investing and creating generational wealth. You and I talked about the difference between how you were raised and I was raised. I didn't know about generational wealth growing up. I think that's something that is spoke about now.
Yeah.
And we had a blunt, honest conversation, two totally different ways of how the conversation was approached. How does it make you feel as like a financial person now, hearing that generational wealth is actually a term that's being used more and more in households?
I think it's amazing if you know what to do with that wealth, though. If someone hands you a pot of money, I hope that you just don't go on vacation for 6 months. I hope that you continue investing it and make it earn more money for the next generation. Yeah. And if you're lucky enough, I don't come from a family of money where I can say I've got generational wealth. It's what I've got is what I've earned. And I'm fortunate with what I have. And honestly, a lot of it just starts with investing. You can't save your way to wealth. There's no way. There's no way to keep up with inflation. Keeping your money in cash is not the way to go.
So when somebody goes to, like, for somebody that's just starting and they're like, okay, what kind of account should I be opening up? What chapter is that in the book where you start to talk about, hey, this is the kind of bank account you should be looking at, or this is step one? Take us through step one.
Okay, so that's budgeting. So there are a couple things you want to look at when you're budgeting
I
your
hate that
money.
word, by the way.
I
I hate
know.
budgeting. That's my least favorite word
Yeah.
ever. Between calories and budgeting, that those two
Oh,
words are
I know.
like hell. Like I don't like them at all. So, but go
Yeah.
ahead, talk about budgeting. I'm gonna try to pay attention, but even my mom would tell you I'm the worst at it. But you school me right now, Allison.
Oh, I don't want to think like I don't like to
No,
preach,
you're
but I mean, honestly,
not preaching. I need to hear it though. I need to hear it.
the platform to anyone's I guess the platform to anyone's control over their money really starts with the money coming in and the money going out, and that is called budgeting, whether we like it or not. And the only way to know how much money is coming in and going out, I believe, is not to use an app, but to go through, and hopefully by now we're all automating, but if not, there are probably records kept, or you can try to, figure it out. If you're not automating, I'm saying you should have digital banking. And that way you go through and you literally write down everything you spent last month, everything, and you take and you add it all up and you see how much money, all the side hustles, all the jobs you have, all the income, and you subtract that spending money from that income and you get how much is left over. And you see how well you're doing or how maybe not well you're doing. And then you have to start making cuts. And the reason I say go through it by hand and not on an app is because if you do it by hand, you're going to see the areas where you can actually make cuts. In addition to doing that, a budget should also include paying yourself. What does that mean? It means building an emergency fund for the stuff that just happens and you need that money.
Yeah.
My suggestion, it's a little bit big, but my suggestion is you should have 9 to 12 months of an emergency fund. That means 9 to 12 months of living expenses socked away somewhere, ready for if something happens. I mean, the pandemic was sort of the shock to us all and made, I think, all of us realize we need to have that cushion, and that's what that emergency fund is. In addition to paying ourselves there, we have to put money towards our investments, whatever that is. And so I do talk about in the book different ways to do this that make it most comfortable. I align them with shoes because it's fun to talk about shoes. But there are budgets you can choose that I sort of came up with that are a little more palatable, because the bottom line is if you create a budget, you have to make it where it's sustainable, where you can actually live with it and not feel like you're depriving yourself so much and you're like, screw this, I can't handle this. It has to be sustainable. And so that's why in the book I say choose a budget that best works for your character, for your personality, and only you know that.
And but for if we were doing a pie, and I know I'm putting you on the spot right now because I know you have several different examples, but realistically, like what do you think is an actual realistic budget plan that families should look at?
I mean, it depends on how many people are in the family and what your budget personality is. I don't mean to kind of be vague about an answer, but you really have to tailor a budget to yourself. And even with the budgets that I propose, you can still tweak them even further. The point is just, in addition to spending on your, to paying off your bills just to live, you also have to think about the future. And that's really the other part of the budget that you have to think about. You have to plan for those things that you wouldn't ordinarily plan for. That's what your emergency savings account is for. You have to plan for retirement. I know we're young. We feel like it's so far away. I don't need to do it now. Yes, you do need to do it now, because that word compounding comes up again. Because if you start investing now, it's going to compound and earn you money for when the time is when you need it.
Yeah.
In addition, in the budget area, in addition to the emergency savings account, I also have an account for what's called non-monthly expenses. So these can be real big budget busters as well. Things like, let's say, that a friend's wedding's coming up and it's going to cost X amount of dollars at the end of, let's say they're getting married in November. My suggestion is, however much money you want to spend on that wedding for, flights or, gifts, divide that amount into each month leading up to November, and you're going to kind of stash that money away. So when the time comes for you to actually go and enjoy the wedding, you actually will, because you'll have the money already saved up.
Yeah.
So it's all about, the point of budgeting is to plan in advance. So you're not hurting so much. You can sleep at night.
Exactly. Peace of mind.
Yeah.
All right. What I love about your book is that the chapters and the titles of the chapters stand out so much. Again, guys, this is the book we are talking about right now. What's Up with Women and Money. You got the link right now. You can shop for the book right now. DM Allison. She'll take care of you.
Yes.
Chapter 10.
Which one is that?
Negotiate like a
Oh,
man.
I like
What
that one.
would he say?
Hmm.
And part of the topics that you talk about is why the F aren't we asking? As women, what do you feel we're not asking for?
Well, I mean, more of us these days are asking. 70% of women these days are negotiating. That's good. That's good news. But the problem is 30% aren't. And we need to be doing that. We need to be negotiating. Every woman needs to negotiate for her pay. Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But we think that it needs to be this sort of very tense argument back and forth, and it really doesn't have to be that way. It could actually just be a conversation. That's really what, when it comes down to it, that's what negotiation really is. And the irony is that women are actually much better at it than men.
Really?
Yes, we just need to believe it. And I go through all the steps on how to negotiate based on that confidence building point, is that we are better at it than men, and we're better at it than you would believe. I mean, there are a lot of fears that women have about negotiating too. For example, one of them is sort of a penalty that we're given for appearing to be too bossy or too argumentative, and unfortunately those are the stigmas that are often placed on women. But there are ways around that. There are ways to get around that based on what we say while we're trying to negotiate for a higher salary. And I do address those points in the chapter.
Yeah, I love that. But like I said, all your chapters, they just stand out. One of the things that we didn't talk about, I'm going backwards right now. You have this quote in the book, and it says, when it comes to spending, spend with intention or with purpose, or being more mindful with your money. Expand on that a little bit when you say spending with intention and purpose, because I intend purposely to look good whatever night I'm going out, and
you do,
and I'm doing the thing. But to create this mindset of, hey, I don't need this. Hey, I could rewear something in my closet. Hey, you don't need to buy the latest gadget, or like just that mindset, because it is a shift when you're talking to somebody that may not be as disciplined.
Well, you just said it. That's the funny thing. We know what we should be doing. We know it. It's that little voice. You know what you should be doing. You do look good.
My voice be muffled underneath my clothes.
Intentional spending is looking at maybe looking at that thing as we're scrolling through Instagram, and we get those ads that I am so guilty of looking through and being like, I screenshot, I'm like, I'm gonna go back and buy that. But that's what I do. I don't make spontaneous purchases because I'm intentional with my spending. I do make a mental note of it, and I screenshot it. Let's say if I see the ad on Instagram and it's in my camera roll, and this is what I suggest for everybody. Give it a few days.
Yeah.
If it comes up again in your head and you really, really want it after a few days, I would say give it 5 days. Okay. If you really, really want it, if you remember it, you'll go back and buy it. Guess what? Have those things in my phone that are I've got a ton of screenshotted from advertisements that are just sitting in my phone. You know why? Because I really didn't need it. That is intentional spending. Ask yourself if you really, really, really need it, based especially on how much money you have coming in and going out.
Yeah, no, that is a good tip. I have a rule when it comes to big item, not big item, I guess not, but spending, splurge purchases, that if it's in my size and it was something that I really wanted and it's the last pair, I got to get it. But if it's sold out and I got to wait for it, I don't get it.
There you go.
Very big, and I stick to it. I don't order anything. And I try not to shop online that much, but Amazon always gets me with a gadget or so. I know we don't have too much time
to get to some questions.
Yeah.
You know what? So I see Chandra, thanks for watching. You're asking if men can use this book too. Yes. And in fact, I have men actually on my Instagram who are sending me messages and saying they're buying it for the women in their lives. For their daughters, their wives, but men can also use it, because I'm also getting DMs from men saying, I need this book. So I say, yes, if you're a guy who who doesn't understand investing, who doesn't understand, the better way to negotiate, you can learn from this too. There's also a chapter on estate planning, and you don't need to be a bazillionaire to make an estate plan.
Right.
If you're 18 years old, man or woman, there is a step in that chapter that every human being has to make at 18 years old.
That's amazing. So I want to go to, let's see, some of these questions in Shop Live that they're asking.
While you're going there, I just want to say this is your chance, guys who are watching, to get your own autographed copy. Click the shop button below or comment shop, SHOP, on Facebook and Instagram, and a link will be sent to you to get a signed copy of my book. I sat last night signing.
So Felicity A asks, how difficult was it to recognize this subject matter applied to you?
How difficult was it? It was pretty darn easy.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't involved.
Okay.
I just wasn't involved. I let my husband do everything.
Uh-huh.
I let him invest. I didn't know what we were invested in. That's really dangerous. What if, I trusted him to make the right moves, and he did. But the stories that I've put in this book of some of the women's these are cautionary tales in here about the bad stuff that can happen if you just hand over the reins to one person to handle and you're not involved.
Yeah, I mean, guys, we see these stories all the time. I mean, of course, it's highlighted a lot because it's celebrity. I even remember when Rihanna was like on the verge of really broke, and it was because she trusted somebody with all her money, and they took advantage of her, and they lose it. It happens to athletes all the time. They trust their agents, they trust their money person, and then it's all the way gone. So I understand what you're saying when you're saying get involved. Know the passwords. Know what's going in and out. Know the passwords. Like a lot of people don't even know the passwords. Absolutely.
Know the passwords, and then know the beneficiaries on your accounts. That's another thing. If you do have investment accounts, if you have savings accounts, even, who are the beneficiaries? When was the last time you checked them? These are things, these are reminders in here that I put in the book as well.
Okay, let's see. What else do we have? How long did it take you to write your book?
Well, I mean, in 2012, when I finally got divorced, I thought, this is the book I want to write. And I didn't get around to it until 2019 to start thinking about it. But since I put pen to paper, it's being published next week on Tuesday. 5 years. 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it took 5 years. 2 years. Strangely enough, it took 2 years to write the proposal and less than a year to write the book.
Okay.
And then the rest of the time was waiting and pitching and waiting and waiting and more waiting.
Right.
Revising, editing, and all that. Yeah.
Thank you, Zoe. That was Zoe that asked that question. Okay, here's a really great question.
Thanks,
well, they bring up a really good topic. Joint accounts and how to handle. As a woman, how do you think you're supposed to handle joint accounts, and should a woman always have a separate account from a joint account, and should a man have a separate account when you're in a relationship?
I know when I was married, we had joint accounts that we paid our bills out of, but I also had my own account. I should have had my own investment account, but I didn't. I had my own savings account. So however account you want to have on your own, that's great. But you guys should, as far as a joint account, I would say have a joint investment account together, because more money pooled in there. And if something should happen, well, that could be worked out with lawyers, I guess. But like, I do recommend you having your own account as well. But joint accounts are necessary, I would say, to pay bills out of if you're married or just together.
Okay. Here's a great question from Michael Landon. This is on Instagram. Retiring in 2 years, what's the best way to do it? And what's the best way to save?
Best way to save is keep investing. Keep investing. You think you don't have a lot of time. I don't know how old he is. Was that Michael you said?
Michael.
I don't know how old you are, but I'm thinking you could be around 62 maybe, if you say you're thinking of retiring. You've still got many years to go. I say keep stocking away money into your investment account. That compounding still has many years to run.
This is one that's from Talk Shop Live. Do you think the younger generations of women now are approaching money differently than older generations?
Absolutely. I think there are more tools available. I know when I was growing up, when I was a kid, online investing, it literally did not exist. It just started in the 90s. And so when I was young, it wasn't there. And then with the advent of fractional investing, because as a young person, you're typically not going to make a lot of money to buy whole shares. That opens up a whole new avenue of being able to start so early, and time is on your side. And so it's amazing. It really is. And the advent of social media, as much as there are all these accounts about how to invest and everything, although you should tread cautiously on that, because maybe you're not getting the whole story. I think you should research everything you see online. I do think that that's helpful. It sort of pushes you along. There's this whole trend about Roth IRAs, which I totally believe in.
Yeah, somebody did mention Roth IRAs on Instagram. Do you want to expand on that just a little bit?
Sure. I mean, Roth IRAs are mostly for, for folks who are looking to pay taxes on the money once you pay taxes on the money as you go into the account. So then when you're getting out of the account, when you turn 59 and a half, you don't have to pay taxes on the money on the back end. And usually the Roth is for folks who make up to a certain amount of money. And usually it's for the younger folks, because oftentimes the salaries aren't as high as those who need to get into a traditional IRA, where that money is going in pre-tax, and then you pay the money on the backside. And those who go into the traditional IRAs usually are at the higher income level, and they're trying to avoid paying a higher tax rate at that moment, and will sort of worry about it at a later time.
Now, it is tax season right now, and especially young people, all of us, we're always like, let that refund check come. Let it be something that we could, okay, and excited for it. What do you suggest people do with that refund check?
Oh, I would say, listen, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm going to say it, I would invest it. I would definitely invest it. Maybe take a little bit out and go have some fun with it. But depending on how much you have, I'm telling you that money is going to earn you so much more if you just put it into investments.
Okay. And I don't want to put you in the spot right now, because I know that, your expertise is only in a certain place, in a certain area. But with the state of the economy the way it is, and everybody is super scared, egg prices are crazy, inflation is insane. What is your best advice going into the next 4 years under this new administration when it comes to dealing with money? Because where do you see the trend of money, where the market is going? What should people be doing right now?
I think it's the same what we've been talking about. I think you need to invest often and just regularly and consistently, and don't just do it one time and think, okay, I'm done with it. You have to invest consistently over time and catch, and it's called dollar cost averaging. And so let's say you're invested just in an index fund or two, and you're just putting money in, and you have to put the money in when the shares are at different prices, and at some point you're going to notice over time it's going to build up, and you're going to say, oh, that's why I have to keep doing this so regularly, because suddenly that balance is really high. And how'd that happen?
Yeah.
Time is on your side. You just need to start early and invest often.
I agree with you. Guys, this is the book.
Yeah, that way you weather anything going on in the economy.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the book. I know we're about to get short on time right now, but I do want to ask you, I would say that was probably the biggest. Diana was asking, what's the biggest tip you can give to me to take away today? I don't know if it would be different from what you would say, or is there something different you would say?
The biggest tip to
take away from today's conversation. Besides going to get the book.
Yeah, which, by the way, you can click on the shop button, or write shop in the comments section, and you'll get a link to buy an autographed copy of the book. What's the one takeaway I have is, I think that if we're talking about any of the financial stuff that's in here, I think on the outset it may feel intimidating, but I hope that you come to feel what I did, that once you start making each little transaction after learning about how to do it, and once you step in there and start doing those things, you're going to gain the confidence over and over, because those little wins will create little sort of victories in your head, and you're thinking, I can do this, and I am capable of doing it. And so my suggestion is, don't try to not let that overwhelming feeling overtake you, and just get in there and start. And remember, with investing, you don't have to be an expert. It's better to be in the market than to have it 100% figured out. And that's another thing I would definitely have you come away with.
What was your favorite chapter writing in the book? I know it's your baby, and I know that you put so much into it. To say you took 5 years and this is like really, truly, like, guys, like, I can't even tell you what I've done consistently besides work for 5 years. There's definitely nothing like this, nothing like this. But what do you have a favorite chapter or favorite moment when it came to writing your book?
By the way, you're one of the most hardest working women I know.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate you. Thank you.
It's seriously, don't knock it. I mean, working hard, that's something that is discipline. Okay, my favorite chapter, believe it or not, there's a car buying chapter in here. I walk you through literally how to buy a car.
Okay.
And especially as a woman, when you walk into a showroom, you are taken advantage of. And the reason I like that is because it was one of the first things I had to do after my divorce, and I completely screwed it up. And I thought, there's got to be a way to figure this out where I'm not being taken advantage of. So I made sure to figure out how to buy a car, and 90% of it is not even done. I mean, 90% of it is done right in your house. You don't even have to go and see anybody. And so that happens to be my favorite one because I don't have to talk to anybody really.
Really? Give me some tips on that, because I actually am in the market and I don't even know if it's even the right time to even buy a car right now. But I am looking. I'm always looking. But I am looking.
Okay. First of all, my first suggestion is make sure you get your financing elsewhere before you have to, the final step of walking into the dealership. They're going to try to grab you.
Make you go with their bank. Yeah.
Yes. So just always have yours in your pocket. And I talk about in the book how to play with that. How do you do 90% of the car buying at your house? A lot of it is online, and a lot of it is done on email, and not much of it on the phone. It's all email, and you get this one price called the out the door price. So all those fees and all those extra add-ons, you don't let that muddy the waters, because car salesmen, as I learned, they want to make it complicated. I mean, you and I, Roxy, we don't buy a car every day, but they're selling these cars every day. So they've got a leg up on us, and they want to make this complicated and overwhelming, and us saying, oh, forget it, I'll just take it. No, I will not stand for that. I have a surefire way in here that you can buy a car without being ripped off.
I love that.
It's my favorite.
Okay, I'm going to that chapter when I'm ready for it.
Okay.
We got a few more. I don't know how much more
Okay.
time you have. Well, you kind of touched on this already, but what advice would you give to someone beginning to invest?
Beginning to invest, I would go for, if you don't have a lot of money, once again, fractional shares, and I would go for index funds, because then you're diversifying with one share. An index fund, I would say an index fund that mirrors what's known as the S&P 500, which is the broadest index, and covers 500 stocks, and diversifies a lot for you. Wait, okay. Roxy, they're asking me questions to ask you. How many chapters are in the book? 11. And Roxy, you can answer if you don't want to. Where can we see more of you these days? They want to know.
Good Morning America, GMA3. That's where I am. And my show with Deion Sanders. We got time today on Tubi. There's that. So thank you for asking.
I've been seeing you a lot on there. That is amazing.
Yes,
how are you liking it?
I love it. We have so much fun. Deion is great, and he's very, very, very smart when it comes to investing in his money. Yeah. He budgets. He told me he's going to teach me budgeting.
Oh, no. This is going to teach you
exactly.
budgeting.
I was like, I'd rather learn from you, Allison. He's going to definitely make it no fun. That's for sure. Here's a good one. Zoe's asking, what age did you really start becoming good about saving money? I'm in my 30s, and I feel like I'll never save enough to retire. I
started in my 40s. That's actually,
and you're 36. That's amazing.
I know, right? I actually started, my late 30s, early 40s is when I really started. It's never too late to start.
Yeah.
Really. You just have to start. You have to believe that you're going to shell the money out. I know it's painful to put it someplace and then hope you don't lose it all. But if you look at how well each year the stock market does, it is up, and this is the low, 8 to 10% every year. And now the estimates are going even higher. So
Yeah.
they're saying could be 12% high. And so just think of, you're making that much more on your money if you just allow yourself to part with it for a little bit and put it into investments.
Yeah. And that goes with the mindset, which goes into the next question that we have. How can women develop a healthier mindset toward money, especially when financial literacy is often overlooked or not adequately taught?
Yeah, and that's a really tough question. Thanks for that one. It really has to come from sort of your own confidence building, I think, and reminding yourself that it is, 80% psychological, 20% math, and women already have the psychological part down, and the math part is really not that complicated. And to get into the right mindset, there is also a little visualization that should be happening, and
Mm-hmm.
I walk through that in the book, as well as how to visualize what you want in the future. And I remember when I was doing that interview with the financial psychologist, and I said, how can visualization help me change my mindset? That's BS. And he said, no, it's true. And he did a study showing that the people who visualized what they wanted wound up having more money saved than the people who didn't. So there's an exercise that you can go through that I talk about in the book that can help you with that mindset. And there are other ways as well, but I think at the heart of having the mindset that you want to get control of your finances is confidence and knowing that you can do it.
Yeah. This is a great one. Paula asked, who did you dedicate your book to and why?
Oh, I dedicated my book to my kids, Sydney and Ethan, because they inspired me, and to my fiance, Tony, who had to put up with me for all these years and deal with me focused on this book. Yeah.
I love
So
that.
that's why,
That is so awesome. Well, we've been talking for a while now, Allison, and I hope that we got a lot of questions answered from everybody that's listening right now. Is there any final words that you want to say? And of course, everybody, you can get an autographed copy right now if they click. They have to DM you to shop the book, right?
There should be a button underneath that says shop. Or
Okay.
they can write shop in the comment section, and then they will be sent a link.
Buy this for whoever. It's not just for women. Guys can get it too. Get it for your daughters. Get it for your sister. Get it for your mama. Get it for people in your life right here. But what would you like to leave us with?
I just want to say that if you feel like that you don't know all the financial goings on in your house, you have to be involved. You can't just stick your head in the sand and act like that other person has got it together. And maybe they do, but you need to know where your money is going and what's happening. You have to have full visibility. You can't just, you never know. I mean, God forbid that person gets hit by a bus, or, I mean, life is sweet, but it can change on a dime. And that sounds grim, but that's reality. That is life. And you need to be in the know about what's happening in your financial life.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Allison. This was awesome. Watching. Yes, everybody on Instagram, thank you guys. I know we were doing like this, but we got to everybody's comments, questions. We appreciate you guys coming in. You could shop the book. Follow Allison if you're on Instagram right now. And if you follow me, you can click on her name and you can follow her, and you can shop the book right now. Where else can they find the book, and where else can they shop for the book?
Barnes and Noble. It's going to have physical copies on Tuesday, and you can go to Target as well, target.com, amazon.com, of course, and a few other stores. I have a link in my bio and IG that you can see all the stores where the book is going to be.
Awesomeness. So. All right. Well, everybody on IG, we love you guys. Thank you so much. Allison, thank you so much for letting me have the conversation with you. I appreciate it.
Oh my God, thanks for taking time today.
All right.
Love you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.